Good morning.
Good morning. Yesterday we were studying Ramayana. Day before that, Bhagavad Puran. We studied Gita also, Ashtavakra Gita also. There are a lot of different scriptures. With the help of these, some stories, some life events, we should always remember where are we going. Do we want to just stay enmeshed in the stories, or do we want to learn something from the story and rise above it? And that's why different philosophers, different yogis, they keep giving us the stages of evolvement. Few weeks ago, we talked about the Sapta Bhumi according to Rishi Yogi, Yoga, with the help of Yoga Vishishta. Okay. Very high level of philosophy. And sometimes we think we cannot even accomplish those high level, the Samadhi, or even the Samadhis of that level where there's no seed left at all. But there are other yogis also, other philosophers also. They talked about these stages. When we look at these, it looks like, hey, it's doable for me. Especially the serious students who have been walking on this path for some time. And today I want to go through the 8 steps on the ladder of Bhakti. It's called Ashta Sopan. Because ultimately we want to cultivate the love for God. Lord Krishna said the same thing. The Ramayana teaches us the same thing. So what I'm going to tell you today, it is written by Roop Goswami. The verse I'm going to recite is written by him. He was a devotional teacher, a poet, a philosopher of the Vaishnava tradition. Because there are Shaivites also. There are people who believe in Shaktism also, like a goddesses. Then there is a tradition of Vaishnavanites. So he belonged to the Vaishnava tradition. He lived in India in 1489 all the way to 1564. Okay. So more than 500 years ago when he was born. What did he say? What is this Ashta Sopan? Again, it's in Sanskrit, and I'll break it down for you in English. Adau Shraddha tatha sadhu sangosta Bhajana-Kriya tataha Anartha Nivritti syayatoho Nistha Ruchi tata Asakti tato bhavastata premo abhyudyati sadhaka na mehe prem naha pradurbhave bhavet krama. So he says, in this kram, according to this succession, our devotion increases. So this is called a Ashta Sopan, or steps towards the divine love. Divine love. Because in outer success also, whether it's in a relationship or whether it's in achieving something, there are always milestones. Even when we want to go on a journey, there's a milestone. In a relationship also between a couple, sure, there's a dating, then getting to know each other, then getting engaged, then getting married, having children. All those are the milestones. So these are also milestones when we get to know God. See, divine love is when we want to know God, when we want to feel that God is mine. So there are stages for that also. This is called a inner journey. Inner journey. And name of the scripture where this is coming from is called Bhakti Rasamrit. Ras Amrit. So he wrote that, but this verse I want to explain it to you to the best of my capability. First, Adau Shraddha. That means this journey starts with faith. Faith means this is God. I want to develop relationship with God. So in other words, increase your faith with this kind of a feeling. Whether the scriptures help you, whether your guru helps you, whether your own sadhana helps you, but you got to intensify your faith. That means remove all the doubts. Because opposite of faith is doubt. So remove all the doubts, otherwise we cannot move forward. We can just go forward and backward and right and the left, and ultimately we stay where we are. So the very first ladder on this is doubt. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, 67th verse, he even told us that this knowledge of Gita, don't even speak to the person who doesn't have a faith. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. He said, Idam te na tapaskaye na bhagtaye kadacha na cha shu Shri Shve vache na chamam yo abhya suyati. He says this knowledge should never be spoken by you to one who is devoid of austerity, who is without devotion, who does not desire to listen, or who speaks ill of me. Absuyate. That means there's no faith. Why you want to waste your time?
Shraddhavan labte jnanam.
Yeah, that is another verse. Yeah, right. So even when we go into a regular school and college, we need to have a faith in what we are studying. Only then we'll learn. If we keep on arguing, in Hindi we call it tark vitark. If we constantly keep on doing it, we have not even put our first step on that ladder yet. And how to ignite this faith? In Hindi it's called deenata. In English it's called humility. In other words, get rid of ego, get rid of ahankar. So faith in the scriptures and the saints or guru is essential. So we need to cultivate. And faith is not that once you have it, we'll have it always. No. It can go down also. So that's why we got to be very alert about it. We got to be careful about it. That we don't want to be in the company of those people who will call that, no, this is all waste of time. Stay away from those people. My own Guruji's words, he used to say, don't even keep the company of those people who talk bad about yoga or Guru. Because that will affect you eventually. Move away. We don't have to argue with these kind of people, but stay away from them. Don't keep the company of a lalchi people, the greedy people, because the greed will come in you. Then faith will go away. So this is what we need to work on. Keep on intensifying our faith. The second one, what he says, see, Ado Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sang. What is a Sadhu Sang? Satsang. Company of the saintly people. Because from the saintly people we get the knowledge. From the saintly people we get the divine love, because they are immersed in love for God. All they do is talk about God. So we get colored by their divine love. That's how our mind will get cleansed. Cleansed of anger, cleansed of lust. Because in the company of Sadhu Sang, what do we talk about? Sadhu talked about God, which is called Bhagavad Charcha, and the true knowledge. Because there's a power in hearing. So when we hear that, ultimately the dirt, it just flows out. But satsang is available due to our good deeds. So if we cannot get that kind of a satsang, keep on doing good deeds. Because they say satsang is durlabh. I'm talking about the satsang, the real sang of a Satpurush. So with the God's grace, you will be given the opportunity to have satsang. Then value that more than the sang of the worldly people. Benefits of the satsang. The scriptures say you get tattva gyan. That means essence, more clarity about the essence of this life. Adhyatmik gyan. You know what spirituality is, what Atma is. Another term they use in the scriptures in a Hindi language, Bhakti ki sanchai. That means these devotional feelings, they get a nice shower of nectarine love. Sanchai. And then Shraddha ki vriddhi. So with satsang, the faith even grows. So they talk about these four words. Tattva Gyan, Adhyatmik Gyan, Bhakti and Shraddha. So wherever we get these, that is a satsang. If we think that we belong to a certain satsang group and these four things are not happening, company of those people is not taking us towards the spirit. It's not increasing more devotion in us. It's not having, we don't have more and more clarity. That means it's not a satsang. That's how you really judge whether it's a satsang or just a getting together. Okay. So what happens is, why do we need this kind of a knowledge? With this kind of a knowledge, we feel safe. We feel secure. Okay. Nobody can shake you from your path. That's how secure you feel. Because all the doubts, all the flaws, they filter out. There is a very popular couplet written by Tulsidas ji. He said, Ek ghadi, aadhi ghadi. I'm sure most of you know. Ek ghadi, aadhi mein puni aadh. Tulsi sangat sadh ki, koti kate aparadh. So that means that when you have a company of a real sadhu, your flaws, they just flow out. Even in a short time, you feel that. And I'm sure you all knew that. If you don't, write it. Ek ghadi, aadhi se puniyad. Tulsi sangat sadh ki, koti kate aparadh. Aparadh means the faults in us, the blemishes in our personality. Then from sadhu sang, the next stage, next step on this ladder. Bhajana-Kriya. He called it a Bhajana-Kriya. See, let me take you that. Adho Shraddha tatha sadhu sang tatha Bhajana-Kriya. Bhajan-Kriya is a real inner journey. Bhajan. It's like internally you are staying more and more connected in the company of God. That's a Bhajan-Kriya. But bhajan doesn't mean that you just start singing the bhajans all the time or going to the bhajan mandlis. That's not Bhajan-Kriya. Bhajan-Kriya means internally there is a constant repetition of the name of God. There are 9 ways we can do bhajan. It's called Navada Bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smarnam, Padasevnam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atam Nivedanam. Navada Bhakti. We have talked about it in the past. In all of these 9s, internally we should be connected with God. There's a one Padasevanam, that you are serving your Guru, serving God. Even in your altar, when you are cleaning the altar, all you are doing is thinking about God. You are cleaning the feet of Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, your Guru. You are thinking about God. That is a Bhajan-Kriya. Or you are doing the Kirtan, internally you are connected with God. You are reciting the mantra given to you by your Guru. All you are doing is connecting with God. That is a part of Navada Bhakti. Okay. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevnam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atam Nivedanam.
Hersh, can you go a little slower on that, please?
I'll try. Sometimes I get, yeah, thank you for reminding me. Shravanam, Shravan Karna. That means remembering, right? Shravan. But loudly you Shravan. You are saying from your lips also. Kirtanam, you are singing. Smarnam, you are just mentally remembering. You are not using your lips anymore. Internally you are connected. Padasevnam, you are doing the seva, service. Archanam, archana karne. Okay. Vandanam, vandana karne. So maybe one day I'll go in detail in these, but right now just write down the names. Vandana. Dasyam, you are becoming a servant to God. Like Hanumanji was. Right? What did he do? Every opportunity he got, big or small, he wanted to serve Lord Ram. Dasyam. See, by becoming a servant of God, what happened? He became God. That's not he wanted to become a God, but this is what the effect of becoming a servant of God. Dasyam. Sakyam. Arjun was a Sakha of God. And Atam Nivedanam. Okay. So, but remember, in all of these 9s, what are you doing? You are thinking about God. You are connecting with God. You are talking about God. In Bhagavad Puran, we'll study the life story of Prahlad. How he was connected as a young boy. No matter what kind of a difficulty came into his life, he was connecting with God. So sadhana can be done by any of these, and that is a Bhajan-Kriya. But Smaran is essential. Remembering God is essential. So in other words, the mind should be connected with God. Okay. So because we are doing it for the purification of man. Because God knows our inner world. God knows what's happening in the mind. Outside, maybe we can just display a lot. We can fool people outside that we are the biggest bhagat, but internally God knows whether we are connected with him or not. Okay. So Bhajan-Kriya, it's not out bahirang, as they say, the outer limb. It's truly the inner limb, the Bhajan-Kriya. And what happens with the Bhajan-Kriya? In the second line, the Roop Goswami ji says, Tato Anartha Nivritti. Anartha Nivritti. That is the 4th step. That means Antekaran becomes pure. Antekaran is what? Mind, intellect, chit, and the ego. Man buddhi chit ahankar, that is the Antekaran, the inner. That means all the attachment, the aversion, rag and dvesh, stress and the worries and the tensions, they all get reduced. They may not go away right away, but they definitely get reduced. And if the stress and worry gets reduced, what happens to the body? Body becomes healthy. If the body is healthy, what happens to the relationships? They become better. So you do get the effect of this inner journey in the external journey also. So if we do bhakti properly, this is the result. Antakaran Shuddhi. Because ordinarily people say, no, in this world, stress is normal. For a bhagat, stress is not normal. Stress is a flaw. Anger is a flaw. Greed is a flaw. Attachment is a flaw for a bhagat. For a bhagat. So, Lord Krishna again in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, which we're going to start this Sunday class, 26th verse. He said, Mam chayo avyabhicharin bhakti yogen sevate. Sa gunan samatityatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So this is where bhakti can take you. You become one with Brahma. Because Antakaran is clean. It's pure. It's pristine. The mind which is Trigunatmak, which is full of Rajsikta, Tamsikta, or even Satvikta, when your mind is connected with God, it rises above even Satvikta. That is Antakaran ki Shuddhi. So that's why my Guruji used to say, Antakaran ki Shuddhi Bhakti se hi hoti hai. I heard that this morning in one of his Upadesh. We want to clean our Antakaran, we want to clean our subtle body. He says, only with a Bhakti. Bhakti has that kind of a power. Bhakti se hi hoti hai. Not Bhakti bhi karti hai. Bhakti se hi hoti hai. That's why Ved Vyas ji, he wrote, he divided the Veda. He's not a writer of a Veda. He's only a divider of the Veda. Rig Ved, Yajurved, Samved, Atharvaved. He divided. That's why it's called Vyas. Vyas means he divided the Veda. He did not compose it. After writing Mahabharata also, Bhagavad Gita, which is part of the Mahabharata, and lot of other scriptures he wrote, he was still not satisfied. That's when Naradji came. And he asked Naradji, why do I still feel disturbed? He said, because you have not written anything about Bhakti. So that's when he wrote his Antim Granth, which is we are studying every Monday morning. Bhagavad Puran. This is a Vishuddha Bhakti Granth. That's what scholars call it this Granth. Vishuddha Bhakti Granth. So that's in that scripture, we see again and again that the main dharma of a human being is to cultivate love for God. They call it a pramukh dharma. There are a lot of low level of dharmas, but the pramukh dharma. So you gain your spiritual power. You really get to know yourself with bhakti. And another thing happens with the bhakti. The detachment, which is called vairagya, it happens effortlessly. In Hindi, it's called sahaj vairagya. You don't have to make any effort, because mind, which is attached to the world, when it has found something so pure, so beautiful, so permanent, it just gets attached to God and detached from the world. That is called the Sahaj Vairagya. You don't have to force it. So that's why these scriptures, these saints, these yogis, these gurus talk about bhakti so much. Bhakti. So bhagat, without letting go of the ahankar, this level of a bhakti cannot be attained. There is a story, the real story. There was I told you, I have been telling you from time to time, there used to be a lot of dialogues between the scholars. Even now these days happen, but in the past there were more real scholars. They had all these philosophies memorized also. So there was a scholar from Kashi. He goes to Shankaracharya ji. He said, I have studied a lot, but I have not found a guru. And I can see that you can be my guru. And ordinarily, that level of a gurus, they don't accept the students that easily. See, just like in Ivy League also college, universities, if you want to go to, you better have credentials. Right away, you will not get accepted. So Shankaracharya ji said, you are not adhikari. You are not ready. He said, no, I am ready. But the way he asked that, give me the initiation, Shankaracharya ji could see that he doesn't have the humility in him. Because humility is needed. Otherwise, you become arrogant that, hey, I'm a student of such and such a great guru. He said, you can ask me questions about the Shastra. I can tell you everything about the scriptures. I know so much. I am ready to be your student. Shankaracharya ji said, he thought that he has so much ego. So let me give a little test to him so that he realizes. So he said, okay, all right, why don't you go to that building? They had the ashram, go to the other building. And while he was walking, Shankaracharya ji asked the cleaning lady, the Bhangan, just to go near him and say a few words, bad words to him. So she did. First, she didn't want to, but then he said, okay, I'll pay you. Why don't you do that? So she went there, and that Vidwan, that scholar, became so angry. So angry, he just started shouting at that Bhangan. So Shankaracharya ji came over there. He said, you have anger in you. And root cause of the anger is the ego. And if the ego is there, you are not a capable student. Because there's a popular saying, Vidya dadati vinayam. You don't have that vinay in you. How can you be my student? He said, what should I do? He said, go outskirts of this town and do some tapasya. Come back after a few months. So he went there. After 6 months, Shankaracharya ji saw him coming, but he could judge that the way he was walking, he's still very arrogant. Shankaracharya ji asked that Bhangan, go there where he's walking and just start cleaning the ground so that the dust will fly on him. She did that. Again, he got very upset. And then this time he realized, yes, I have not become humble at all. So he goes back. More tapasya, another 6 months. Then comes back. Again Shankaracharya ji saw that he's coming. So he told that Bhangan that this time, throw some garbage on him. Because Bhangans, they used to carry those baskets full of garbage. Just throw that garbage on him. she did. This time, he did not get angry at all. What did he do? He touched the feet of that Bhangan. He said, you are my first Guru. Because of you, I have gotten rid of my anger also, my ego also. So if we are doing bhakti, if we think that our antakaran is clean, we got to check ourselves. Are we getting rid of those flaws or not? Do we erupt at the little provocation or not? This step, this Anartha Nivritti step is the longest, because there are so many flaws from countless lifetimes that scholar could get rid of it in 3 years. In our case, unless we do tapasya like that, unless we are in the company of that kind of a guru, unless we put so much effort into it, it might take several lifetimes. But this is essential, essential. Okay? It's almost like you have all heard about that the basket which was dirty, the boy was asked to bring the water in that basket from the lake to the ashram. He goes, brings it back, all the water will fall out. He went again, several years it took for the water to make sure that the basket was clean. The same thing happens to us also. It's going to take a long time. Sometimes we think, no, I am still angry. I do get angry. I do get agitated. If you're aware of it and if you work on it, only then this Anartha Nivritti will happen. Okay, that's why patience is a virtue. Patience. Just like when you sow a seed, it takes a long time. Seeds, it takes a long time for those seeds to sprout. Right? The trees which live longer, their seeds get sprouted slowly. So this is what happens. But from here, the fifth step on this ladder. See, let me read it again. Adau Shraddha tatha sadhu sangostha Bhajana-Kriya tataho Anartha Nivritti Sayat tataho Nishtaha. Next one is called Nistha. What is a Nistha? Nistha means firm faith, steadiness, a resolve where there's no wavering at all. That's called a Nistha. There's a difference between a Shraddha and a Nistha. You cannot have a Nistha without Shraddha. Nistha is a higher level. Because faith could be weak. Nistha is never weak. So we started the journey with the faith, with the Vishwas, but we strengthened this by removing all that, by keeping an eye on it, by thinking about God, by serving God, cultivating those qualities. So then we reach to the Nishtha. Mirabai, we have great examples in front of us. Prahlad, Dhruv, they had that kind of a resolve. You're all familiar with those stories. No matter what happened from the outer world, they could never be shaken. So that Vishwas was so strengthened. That's why it's known that Mahapurushon ka Vishwas. No matter what kind of a calamity, they really never get shaken up. Okay? See, Shraddha is doing what Guru tells you initially. So we have a Shraddha in the words of our Guru and scriptures. Okay, so that is a beginning. But Vishwas to this level, the Nishtha, you will never get shaken up. So the people who know Hindi, so Drid Vishwas is called Nishtha. Okay. And we'll see that when we do the Narad Bhakti Sutra, he talks about in that great scripture that initially a devotee likes to see the Parman, the proof. I want to see God, only then I'll have it. But if you have a Nishtha, you are not asking for a proof. Because you say, no, God is there. I got to just, there's no need for me to have any kind of a proof. Because you are feeling that joy within you. That is proof itself. See, just like there is no proof for hunger. If somebody says that I am hungry, and you say, give me the proof. How can you give the proof for hunger? The same way, this Nishtha, there's no proof for it. Okay? You just feel that inner bliss, which is in Hindi, it's called Abhas. Abhas. There's no physical proof, but you know that. So at this level, that Abhas started to happen. Abhas is a presence of God is so real to you. This is Abhas. Presence of God. Because for us, the presence of God is theoretical. But if we have really worked on these stages and we have reached to this stage, we see God, we feel God. In the temple, when we go and we put our head down at the feet of a God or a guru, we know that it's not a physical picture or a physical body or a physical statue. We feel that there is this is God. That's called Abhas. Okay. And then another thing happens with this is in these kind of a people's life, whatever is happening, no matter what, they know that God is protecting me. God is with me. So it's like a faith in whatever is happening is right. That's why Tulsidas ji again, let me quote it. Ek bharoso, ek bal, ek aas vishwas, ek Ram ghan shyam, hit chatak Tulsidas. See, we have a bharosa, or we have a faith, or we have even a firm faith in our body. I can do it, or in our relationships, or in my bank account, or in my position, or the people I know. Faith. But Tulsidas ji said, only on one. Ram Ghanshyam, God. Ek bharoso, ek bal, ek aas vishwas, not two. If you're sitting in one boat, you are safe. If you say, no, I'm going to have another one with me, by chance, then you are not safe. Or if you have one umbrella over you, you can stay dry. But if you say, no, I want to have two on me, you will be in the middle, drenching. So, ek bharoso, ek bal, ek aas vishwas, ek Ram ghanshyam, hit chatak Tulsidas. Only one. And this is what Lord Krishna called Ananya Bhakti. Ananya. Ananya and Anek, two opposite words. Anek means many, not ek. Anek. Ananya, not anye. Only one. If you break these words, you see how beautiful these terms are. Ananya Bhakti. Not anye, nobody else, just one. Lord Krishna in chapter 9, verse number 22, you can look up. Ananyashi chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityami yuktana yoga kshemam vahamyam. He says, I give everything to that Ananya Bhagat. Yoga also, kshem also. Everything I give it. Supreme power. We normally want to get everything from the world. We beg to the world to give us this, give us that. But these great rishis are telling us, yogis are telling us, just have faith in one. There was a fakir, his name was Farid. He went to Akbar. Again, this is a true story too. He went to Akbar to ask for something. Because these fakirs, fakir is like a mendicant. They are looking for a little bit here and there, whenever they're wandering, some kind of a help. So he went to King Akbar. Akbar was a great devotee. So he did his namaz the way he's supposed to. So when he reached there, Akbar was praying. And in his prayer, he is begging for more. God, give me, extend my kingdom, give me more power, give me more money, give me this, give me that. This fakir just sitting outside. Listen to him. After doing his prayers, he came outside and he asked Fakir, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Fakir said, I just saw that you are a beggar too. Why do I need to beg from you? I can beg directly from him now. Because even though you are the greatest king, but you are a beggar. So I'll go directly. So this Ananya Bhakti is like that. Go to God. Develop that kind of a relationship. With the devotion, anything is possible. With the devotion. Even Lord Krishna says, I am easily attainable. It's not because of the karam, it's not because of the gyan, but because of the bhakti. He says, Ananya cheta sattam yo mam samarti nityasha. Tasyaham sulabha partha. He says it's very sulabh. Nitya yuktasya yogina. For a devotee, when you start loving me like this, anything is possible. Easily attainable because of their constant absorption in me. Nitya yuktasya yogina. This is chapter 8, verse number 14. You can look at it. See, whatever that Goswami ji said, it's all written in the scripture. No matter which scripture you open. Because the goal is, for all the human beings, ultimate goal is to become one. So when we study all this with that kind of understanding, then our journey becomes smoother also, more enjoyable also, and faster also. I'm supposed to end the class by 11:15. So I think I'm going to put a stop here, even though I wanted to finish all 8 steps, but we can continue next time. The 6th, 7th, and 8th, but I can give you the names of those 6th, 7th, and 8th. 6th is called Ruchi, 7th is called Asakti, and 8th is called Bhava. So let me give you all the names again. Shraddha, Satsang, Bhajana-Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nistha, Ruchi, Asakti, and Bhava. Okay, so Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sang, Bhajan-Kriya Tato Anartha Nivritti, Saya Tato Nistha, Ruchi Tatha, Atha Asakti Tato Bhavastataha, Prema Abhyudanchyati, Sadhaka Namayam Premnaha, Pradurbhave Bhavet Krama. Krama. And the last one, Bhav, you will see that is almost like a samadhi. Samadhi. Samadhi, that you get to know God firsthand. Normally, we only talk about God, we hear about God, and we think it's a far-fetched idea. Because when we read about God, that, see, Bhagwan, that is God, right? In Hindi, Bhag means that Aishwarya. That's a Bhag. See, just like a Dhanvan. Dhanvan is the owner of the Dhan. Bhagwan, owner of the Aishwarya. And what is the Aishwarya? Aishwarya means Anant Gyan, Anant Virya, Anant Saundarya, Atyant Yash, Atyant Shri, and Anant Vairagya. Those are the Aishwaryas. God has that.
Hershey, can you please repeat it?
Yes, Anant Gyan, okay? Unlimited, undefinable. So Anant Gyan, Anant Virya, Virya means strength. Anant Saundarya, because we see this nature is so beautiful and we run after this nature. But when we have had a glimpse of God, that is the most beautiful, then what is all this? Very pale. Anant Saundarya. Yes, Jyoti.
Niru has a question.
Let me finish these 6. Okay, I think that's what she wanted. Anant Gyan, Anant Virya, Anant Saundarya, Anant Yash, Anant Shri. Shri means prosperity, Dhan, Shri. And Anant Vairagya, having all this, still he is detached from it. So 6 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are called Shat Aishwarya of Bhagavan. So when you have really climbed to that top level of this ladder, you have a direct understanding of this relationship, the oneness of Bhagavan. So this is where these great saints, great poets, whether they have written in Sanskrit or Hindi or any other language, that's where they want us to go. They encourage us with their sayings. Whether there's a Surdas or Tulsidas or Mirabai or Parla, all of them. Or Bhagavan Krishna himself. Okay, so let's stop it here. Anybody has any question? Then
Can you tell me the second Anant Gyan and second one is?
Anant Virya. Virya.
Okay.
Virya means strength.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hershey, can you explain Anartha Nivritti?
Oh, Anartha, that is, see, this is Anant, that is extreme, right? Limitless. Then Anartha means anything which is taking you down. Anartha. One is earth, the other one is unearth, right?
Yeah.
अनर्थ कि तुम्हारा बुरा करने वाली जो भी भावना है वो निवृत्त हो जाएगी.
हर्ष आप जो नंबर 6 क्या था? मैं I could only get 5. अनंत ज्ञान, अनंत वीर्य, अनंत सौंदर्य, अनंत यश, अनंत श्री. What is the 6th one?
वैराग्य.
Vairagya. Thank you.
Vairagya. Okay. See, Anartha Nivritti, going back to that, Niru, that really means if you are if you have a faith, if you are keeping the company of a saintly person, and if you are connecting with God through those kriyas, Bhajan-Kriya, slowly you will see that all the flaws, they will fall out of your personality. All those enemies which we normally talk about, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, Matsarya, they will fall off. But we got to still keep an eye on it though. That is Anartha Nivritti. So you move away from the negativity and you are moving towards the positivity. This is what will happen. And from there, the Nistha. Then we'll talk about Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava. I want you to think about these, because this program is like a well-planned flowchart. Well planned. Are you saying something, Neeru?
It is unbelievable Gyan.
It is, and it's doable. Some of it we are already doing it, we are practicing it. But when we practice with the proper guidelines, then we can see the movement much faster. Otherwise, if we were not on this path, we wouldn't be in these classes. So we want it, but we want to just make sure that we know what we are doing and we stay away from the negativity and just come back on this path. Here and there will be a slip still, because external circumstances sometimes cannot be controlled by us. So then come back quickly. Come back. The sooner you come back, the faster our progress will be. There's another question by somebody.
Urmil Chawla.
Yes, Urmil, unmute yourself, please. Urmil cannot hear you.
The meaning of Ashwaryas of God.
Aishwarya means the powers over here. That's what it means. These are the powers of God. Aishwarya. Okay. So that's why they say that Bhagwan ke che Aishwarya. Or you can call it characteristics of God, or how we understand God. How these yogis, they define something which is not definable. So these definitions are for our minds. Okay. So infinite. Okay, infinite everything, infinite prosperity, infinite detachment also. So when we get detached from this world, we get attached to Bhagwan. Okay. And Yash, what is Yash? Yash means fame. Don't we always talk about God? So infinite Yash. Okay. Somebody with these qualities will be famous. So that's what God is. Okay, any other question?
Nena, do you have one?
No.
No?
Hersh, can you repeat the 8 names again, please?
The names by Roop Goswami ji. Shraddha, Satsang, Bhajana-Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nistha, Ruchi, Asakti, and Bhava. Okay. So we'll talk about Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava next week. Wanted to finish today, but I think I wanted to make sure that you all understand it properly too. So, okay.
Beautiful class, Hersh. Beautiful.
Thank you, Manju. Thank you.
Maza aa gaya.
Maza aa gaya na? See, Bhakti has beauty also. Bhakti has the purity also. With the help of the bhakti, we feel oneness also. It's like a real ras of life is in bhakti. Bhakti is like, my own Guruji used to say, without bhakti in our life is like a orange without a juice in it. You know, like a dry orange or dry apple. Bhakti is a ras. Ras in our life is a bhakti. Yeah. Okay. So, and bhakti, दिखावे वाली भक्ति नहीं.
Also,
Not where we show off. किसी को पता ही ना लगे कि हम भगत हैं. That kind of a bhakti. Nobody should even know how connected we are internally. It's all internal thing. Outside is just outer rituals, outer celebrations. They are to teach or encourage the next generation. The real bhakti, where we are going, it's all internal.
beautiful.
Okay, so outer has its meaning, but it is for the future generation. Otherwise, they wouldn't know how to take Charnamat, what to do after taking the Charnamat. I'm talking about the Hindu rituals, or how to do the Havan, how to do the Aarti. I still see some people do counterclockwise. When we do the Aarti, the Thali should go clockwise. That is the proper way of doing it. And we never put, whether it's a Havan Kund or whether it's a altar made below us, it should be always up. Show respect. Because sometimes I see that even Aarti Thali is put on the floor. No. Give a little table for the Aarti Thali also. Because that you are using those utensils to connect with God. That's a God's utensils. Wash them every day. Clean your mandir every day. And while doing cleaning, think about God. You can sing bhajans at that time. That's how we increase love for God. See, just like we used to sing to our children, whether we knew singing or not, but we still end up singing. I'm sure all the mothers did. I'm not a singer and I did too. So that's how we should do that. Develop that. Love brings the best in us. Okay. So.
And if we were to say the 6 characteristics of God, the 6 powers of God, how would I explain it? That God is knowledge, He is strength, He is the beauty in nature, He is fame, and His prosperity, and Vairagya is detachment.
Yeah, he's still detached from everything. He has all this, which we want, but he's detached from all of this.
From all these characteristics.
All these 5, the first 5, he is still detached. It does not affect him.
Oh, I see.
See,
God, it does not affect God.
See, हमारा क्या होता है? We are little bit beautiful and we just become affected by it.
Yeah.
We earn some money and we get affected by it. We develop some kind of a strength and we want to compete with other people. Sometimes I see that competition in yoga students or yoga teachers. So that means downfall has started. Detachment. Okay. So this is what we learn from these definitions. So anybody else? No? Know it all now?
No.
See, God has given us freedom to be like him, to move towards him, or to move towards his Maya. That's called a Svatantrata. Or in scriptures, they call it Savecha Shakti. We have that Shakti, Savecha, Swa Icha. But at the same time, with this Savecha Shakti, we can move towards him also. Okay? Freedom. That's called a law of karma. Freedom. Okay? So with this freedom, we can move towards him, or we can move towards it, or drown, I shouldn't say move, drown in the Maya. Okay? I think,
For many.
Jyoti, you cannot blame me that I have gone over. I ended the class on time, right? You guys don't want to go. What can I do?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Because Mike always says that ज़्यादा बोलने की ज़्यादा आदत है, पर I think अगर सुनने वाले आप जैसे बैठे हों तो बोलना पड़ता है. Right? Okay. All right. If you don't have a question, let's stop. And Manny, if you can be nice enough to play some chanting for us.
ये तो मेरे ऊपर कृपा है भाई.
हाँ?
मेरे ऊपर भगवान की कृपा है कि मेरे को रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दी गई है कि भाई गाने वाला ना हो तो मैं थोड़ा म्यूजिक प्ले कर दूं. ओके.
गाने वाले तो हैं, but still we would like to listen to the chanting. गाने वाले तो बहुत हैं यहाँ. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am. Jyoti, you can unmute everybody. And if anybody has any more questions.